This is Janessa, and you're watching PhilippineNews.com.
Trainers talk about boxing. If they're talking about this is Aaron's word shit, it's not good. You said yesterday you don't want to be part of the headlines of this, but do you think yours and Freddie's things have done anything for the promotion to get people interested in the fight?
No.
Not at all?
No, I think it's about the fighters. I mean, it's not about a guy eating an apple here that doesn't have to worry about making weight. And he can eat an apple, and I could go eat a cheese McDonald's if I want. It's about the fighters. I mean, it's about the risk they take. You know, they take a risk every time they get in that ring. And it takes special traits to be able to get in that ring. You know, not just physical traits. You know, that's what separates them. You know, you have to obviously have good strength and good skill traits, good speed, hopefully power, technique. But to handle that duress, that stress, and the fear element of it, to know for 2 months that you're prepared to do something that really is the antithesis of what really nature prepares all of us for, which is just to escape from things like that. I mean, God, you know, it's a funny thing. If you went into an office building and IBM and you just watched a bunch of guys at lunch break, you see a bunch of guys hiding out around the water fountain, making believe they're drinking water just because they don't want to see somebody coming down the hall. And they're avoiding confrontation. They're avoiding risk. They're avoiding, you know, facing something. I mean, just don't want to see somebody uncomfortable. Just think about it. For 2 months, a fighter has to do the opposite of that. Go into the ring and face something uncomfortable, something risky, something confrontational every day. That's not exactly comfortable. It's not normal. I mean, again, what normal is finding a way to alleviate that, finding a way to escape that, to avoid that. And so they deserve to be able to do that. You know, fighters don't sleep before fights. I don't sleep that much either, but you know, because you'd be out of your mind. You'd be missing something if you were just getting a good night's sleep. You wouldn't be aware of what the heck is in front of you. I remember Costamano used to say that anyone who says they're afraid, they're either a liar or they should get a good doctor. Find out what the heck's wrong with them. Because something's missing, something's wrong.
Bradley said yesterday you would not allow any of the other stuff to get in. You're not that kind of, it's not your DNA to allow the other stuff to get to you with Freddie. So he says it would be a shame because it's not going to happen.
It's not important. He doesn't, Freddie doesn't influence my life. My children do. My family does. Friends that I choose that to be around me do. My fighter does. That's my responsibility, not him. He doesn't influence me in any sort of way. I mean, shame on me if I was to put weight towards that and thought towards that and any kind of concern of any kind towards that. What kind of person would I be? I have more important people to be concerned about, you know? And he shouldn't be concerned about me either, rightfully so.
Hey Teddy, what fights have you guys been studying outside of the 2 fights that Bradley already had with Pacquiao? You've been studying the Mayweather fights, any of them?
You're a genius. No, the Mayweather fight and Marquez fight is obviously fights that make sense to look at. Those are 2 guys that you know gave him some problems. You know, and obviously there's a reason for that. And we look at that. We use whatever's available that makes sense. And I think that we've seen. I think what happens when you probably the same in probably the same thing in football. Very contact sport. But when you're playing, when you're competing against somebody as talented as Manny, and he wins his fight because of pure talent. I mean, he's a freak. You know, the combination of speed and power that he has, it's uncommon. And so when you're competing against someone like that, I think what can happen is that you see the obvious, but you don't see the stuff before the obvious. The obvious is the explosion of ability, and you're aware of that. His straight left hand, his right hook, the quickness, the surges, the hurricane of punches that come at you. But you don't see what comes before the storm. Listen, I don't do that much, but if I do anything, if I got any work to me other than this apple, I hope I can see and help my fighters see what comes before the obvious. Because he already knows what the end result is, that it's coming forward with you know, just a bushel of punches, again, that are explosive. But before that, there's some warning. There's something that shows you something, some delay, something there before that happens. And that's what I was hopefully trying to impart to my fighter and see what that was. You know, again, before, I don't know if it's proper analogy, but I think it is, before a storm comes, the air gets sucked out of the place. You can feel it. You can feel it, and the sky is darkened a little bit. Well, before an explosion of ability comes from Manny, and obviously resulting in punches, there's some preliminary to that. Excuse me. There's habits that come before that. There's action. And those are things that we've tried to look at and be aware of and are aware of. Now, can we do something about it? That's the question that keeps me up at night. You know, man, I wish I would trade this apple in for a crystal ball. It would make. I might actually want to do this again if I had a crystal ball. But nobody does. But it makes it hard to do this because I can only speak for myself. You wake up, you spend the day, and you go to bed every night just concerned. Did I do what I need to do to prepare my fighter for what he's doing and what he's about to do? And did I, you know, will I fail him? And it's a weight. Look, I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm in a position that I'm very fortunate, and I get that. And I'm very privileged. I get it. I get it. But it doesn't mean that you don't feel what comes with that position and the care about a human being. That you have to have responsibility. Very, very much like being a parent again. I didn't want to be a parent at this age. Again. I got two beautiful kids. One got through law school, thank God. The other one works with Oakland Raiders, right? And I get free stuff. But I didn't want to be. I never pictured myself worrying about a 32-year-old son that now is doing things that can be risky. And I have to guide him, and have to make sure that he gets through it okay, and he gets home all right. You know, and it is what it is. But I know I feel it, and I'm hoping that all the things that we worried to put in place will show themselves on Saturday night, and everything will be okay, and that I didn't fail here. Because to be a decent trainer, and I hope I'm a decent trainer, but to be a decent trainer, you have to, obviously, to be decent in anything, you have to care about what you give. but you have to, and that doesn't give me a what do you call it? You know, on anything. Everybody cares about what they do. But I'm just saying that you do need to care. Understanding, be versed in what you're doing. And then you have to have a really, in this case, a really good student, a really good athlete, someone who has skills, someone who has real good intellect, that can understand the things that you're trying to impart, that has tremendous mental awareness and toughness and all those things. But at the end of the day, the most important thing, you have to have trust. And when somebody gives you that trust, listen, I don't know how many people here I would trust. I gotta tell you, when that happens, when you really get really pure trust, that's a beautiful thing, and it's a heavy, heavy burden, because you don't want to fail it. I mean, really, I think you guys look like nice guys, but I wouldn't trust you beyond until I knew I could. I wouldn't. I mean, it's because I don't know what you're doing with those pictures. But when somebody actually takes that human shield and puts it down and says, yeah, whatever you say. Whatever you say. And I got 5 children, that's Timmy. I got 5 children, but whatever you say, I'm going to follow. You better be right. You better freaking be right. And I'm sorry.
That's okay. Have you been concerned about some of the damage that Tim has taken?
Listen, he looks good. I'm not concerned because he looks very good, but there was a reason why. The easiest thing when we made this relationship was to just do a long-term contract. And I did a one-fight contract. There was a reason for that. A lot of people didn't understand. Why you do that? It's obviously not a smart business thing, but for me it was a proper human thing to do. Because I wanted to evaluate him and make sure that I believed that fight to fight it would make sense for him to go on. And I didn't want to be in a position where, if I didn't think it did, that I would be betraying him by walking away. Because it's a terrible feeling to be betrayed. I felt it more times than I like to. And you don't want someone to feel that. So I made it very clear. So the only reason I'm doing a one-fight deal is I feel now we don't need anything. I don't even care. But at that point, when you have to think about those things, I said I don't want to have a long-term situation here. We'll see if it goes to that, but I want to be able to tell you whether or not, after each fight, what I think should be the future, and whether there should be a future, quite frankly. And I don't want to be in a position where, as I said, that I walked away from my, from my commitment. Where it was understood in that way, where you're not saying, oh, now you're not with me. I didn't want him to. I didn't want to be in that position. So to your question, yeah, I mean, I look at all those things, and to me, when you have a 32-year-old fighter, I think at least, that's only for me, that you should go about your business in a definitive way for a 32-year-old. That means maybe less sparring. I use 18-ounce gloves. And from what I find out about this business, which I've been away from before, that nobody uses 18-ounce gloves. So everybody thinks it was for conditioning. I don't do it for conditioning. Listen, does it have an impact in that area? Yeah, it does. Because your hands, by the way, I tell you a secret, your hands feel a lot lighter when you go to 8-ounce gloves after 18 ounce. That's good for yourself, right? That's a good nugget, right? At least I gave you something. But the reason I really do it is I want to lessen the impact of punches in the gym. That's why I really do it. But it does have obviously an advantage on a physical side. It does have you know, it does help you from that standpoint as far as conditioning. But it wasn't chosen for that reason.
Teddy.
What did I see in Tim that drew me to him? Well, Timmy called me. So I guess his voice was such a charming voice. And he brought me in. Listen, I was doing a radio show in New York with this good man right here. And he was Lee Samuels, one of the best PR men in the business. Brought him as a guest on our radio show. And it was right after the Vargas fight, which ended, you know, the way it ended, where he got hurt at the end. And so I asked a question that, from my perspective, made sense to ask. Do you know, we know obviously you got what you got caught with. Do you know why you got caught with that punch? And he's a very honest kid, you know. And all of a sudden he said, "Could you tell me?" So the radio interview went a little different. It went into a training session. And I was training him. And I told him why he got hit. The guy faked low and he went high. When fighters, fighters will lie to you, believe it or not. And not just here in this kind of medium. They will act like they're doing something so they can do something that you don't know they're going to do. So he went down low and he came high. So I explained it to him. And he thanked me. And then Wally, who's my partner, said, "He's going to call you to train him." I said, "What are you talking about?" And we took a break, like after we did a commercial. And I said, "He ain't going to call. I'm not even thinking in those terms." A couple of weeks later, he called me. "Teddy, it's Tim Bradley. I want to know if you train me." And I didn't have any thoughts that I would get back into training, but I couldn't give him an answer. I told him, let me. I'm not. I kind of almost gave him a no, you know, and but I said, let me just. I'm not sure. I'm not really ready to do this, and I haven't given any thought to doing this again. He said, "I understand, you know, but give it some thought, all right, if you want to." So I talked to my family, and I talked to my daughter, and she showed that it was a good investment to put her through law school. She told me, "Dad, even though you guys might not agree with it, but she said, you're a really, really good broadcaster." And actually, she said more than that. She's my daughter. She said, "You're the best." Which, of course, daughters say those things. And she said, "But the essence of what you are is a teacher. And you're not teaching anymore. And it'd be a shame to not teach anymore, while you still have a chance. And I know why you don't teach anymore, because you taught Povetkin, you won the heavyweight title, you committed 2.5 years to him, and at the end of the day, he in my words, he dishonored his agreement. He betrayed his commitment, and he decided he didn't want to come to the States to train anymore. And I have to train in the States during the time. That's why we did it for 2.5 years. We had a deal. When I'm working for ESPN, we train here. When I'm not, I go to Russia and eat borscht. And, and so she said, because he failed himself, it would be a shame. He failed himself in not keeping his word. It would be a shame that keeps you from ever teaching again. Because you have a ability to teach and a passion for it. And I said, "I don't even know if I have a passion for it anymore." She said, "Well, why don't you find out?" So I went out to Palm Springs for a couple of days, spent a couple of days with Timmy, and I saw him as a father of 5 children. I saw him as a husband, and I saw a person that I liked, and that I felt good to be around. And I went to the gym with him, and he was excited. He was enthused. He wanted to. He couldn't wait to learn things. And listen, there's not a lot that I can. I mean, I don't have a big part of this because he was already a champion. Let's not forget that. But he was at a point where he was getting hit with punches, certain punches, whatever reason. At this point in his life, he was getting hit with some punches that obviously, you don't want to get hit with. That were bringing him to the cliff where he had to use that great inner strength that he had. And you don't want to have to use that all the time. So there were some things to work on. And I showed him the things that I thought were important. And he asked me he said, I think you should stay in this business. I don't think you should be able to teach still. And would you teach me? Because I need you.
Hey, Teddy.
And when he said I need you, let me just finish this. When he said I need you, I think it spoke to the most basic part of, if I am a teacher, and my daughter's right, it spoke to the most basic part. And I'm putting no merit badge on myself, because I don't deserve, I'm far, far away from that. But I do try to care about the right things. And I think at the core of being a teacher, there's something about helping somebody, contributing. There's something that you can contribute. You could help somebody get better, and that's worthwhile. There's something beyond what you normally do. That when you can help somebody else, obviously it helps you. But if you can help somebody else that is asking for help, there's a feeling of just that you've done something worthwhile, something beyond the normal realm of sometimes of a job, and you have a privilege that you don't always get, a privilege of being able to add to somebody, to help somebody, to add to someone's life a little bit, and it awoken that. I said, it spoke to me. It drove me a little bit, and I felt that I was actually happy in the gym again, with just a fighter, being able to teach. There was a goodness to it again that I forgot there was.
So teachers like to see growth in their pupils, right? So what is the growth that you've seen in Bradley since you came on board?
Just hopefully being more definitive in what he does, a more definitive identity when he gets in the ring. That he's not Jake LaMotta 1 minute, Pernell Whitaker the next. Just more definitive about his approach, and with his technique, with the talent, how he uses the talent. And how streamlined it is, hopefully.
It looked like he placed his shots better now.
That's part of it.
He wasn't swinging wild looping shots. His shots were straight, on point, and accurate. His balance was good as well.
Thank you.
So you did a great job, Teddy.
Thank you.